today I'm excited to welcome someone who has a huge impact on many of us, including myself, in both music and in our life. My band director, Mr. Farkas. He's not only passionate about teaching music, but he's also building a strong community where every student feels valued. Under his leadership, our band has grown in both scale and in spirit, and he's constantly challenging us to reach new levels of excellence while still reminding us to enjoy the journey. I'm thrilled to have this chance to sit down with him today and learn about more of his experiences, his leadership, and what keeps him motivated. So let's give a warm round of applause for Mr. Farkas. Yay! Okay, best teacher, by the way. All right, so one thing that really motivates people is having the freedom to make choices about their work. Okay. So how do you give your students and the band the space to make their decisions and take ownership of what they do?
Well, one of the things I like to do in concert band, especially when we're getting ready for something like the Prism concert, is I like to give students a choice of what exactly they want to play. A lot of times I pick what they want to play, mainly because there's specific things that I'm looking for. I still want to challenge everybody, but I want it to be fun, which I normally do by do I enjoy listening to the piece? Do I think the kids will enjoy playing the piece? And do I think the audience will enjoy it?
Yeah.
But sometimes I take that a step further, and like I said, I let them choose it. A lot of times for Prism, I have 3 or 4 different options of maybe I was looking over the summer and found some things oh, I like all of these, but I want to know what they want to play. So then we'll take a whole class period, we'll listen to all the selections, be which one was your favorite, which one do you want to do, and whatever the majority vote is, that's one we go with. Mm-hmm. Or in marching band, we put in a lot of visuals, and one of the things I like to do is if anyone has any feedback or input about something that we could change or put into the show, I'm always welcome to that feedback. It's not always the most beneficial, or it doesn't really make sense, and if that's the case, then we'll have a conversation this is why that's not going to work.
Yeah. Because
it is a collaboration, so I want everybody to feel like they have somewhat of a say in what we're doing. I mean, the final say always comes down to me and what I think is going to work best for everybody, but sometimes I always encourage student feedback and interaction.
Is there a specific or your favorite piece? I know you've just started being here at Cumberland Valley for 2 years. Is there a way? Is there a certain piece that you really, really enjoy?
I really enjoy everything that we do here. I mean, I think probably one of my favorite pieces that we've done so far is one that I actually brought from my high school days. When I was in high school, we did this piece called At a Dixieland Jazz Funeral. And that was something that I always told myself that when I get a band that's good enough in skill level, or if I'm really wanting to just challenge their ability, then I want that band to do it, because it's such a fun piece, and it teaches them a lot of things, teaches them a little bit of blues style, how to read cut time, and it's one of those things that sometimes people will look at a piece of music, they'll think it's really hard, but then once they start diving into it, then they realize it's actually not as complicated as they think. It's just they can't accomplish that yet.
Okay. So another motivator is mastery. So that's the drive to keep getting better at something that matters. So how do you encourage your students to keep improving and developing those skills?
I think the important thing for mastery is to just encourage the overall end goal. One of the big things was, say, last year in marching band, we had moved into a different division for competition purposes, and it was all new schools that none of you guys had experienced before, and which I personally thought was one of the best things, because my first year here, with the division that we were in, the schools we were going up against, the common mentality that I heard from everybody, well, we're not going to beat them anyway. So it felt like that was kind of like a deterrent from trying to put in a bunch of effort, because it's just if the kids felt like they're not going to win or they're not going to succeed, well, then what's the point of trying?
Right.
Where last year, we had new kids, new division, new schools, everything was brand new. So it's just okay, we don't know anything about them, they don't know anything about us, so we need to go in here with a fresh perspective. And then we won our first competition, and then our second one, we technically won. We tied,
We tied,
but it's still not a loss. But that's the thing. We kept winning.
Yeah.
As we kept going, and the goal of that was, well, we still need to get better, because now they see what we can do, and they're going to want to catch up to us now. We have a target on our back, and our goal is to not get cocky, but to just keep getting better so that we can keep improving.
Yeah.
Because I've never been the biggest guy in terms of like we need to win. My goal has always been, are you improving, and how are we improving, and then how can we continue to improve upon that, which I think is shown especially this year. I mean, the music's a little bit easier this year than it was last year for marching band, but it's no less complex in its own right. And we did not win, or we won our first competition. We came in second in our second one, and then this past weekend we just had our third competition, and we did win. And I feel like, especially after last year, I think certain students that came back, they were a little overconfident or maybe still a little cocky and holding on to that.
Yeah.
So I think the loss kind of humbled some people a little bit.
Yeah.
And showed that, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we can lose, or we're not always going to get first, which is the mentality I kept trying to give you guys.
Yeah.
Which I think for the most part did sink in. There are a couple people, maybe not as much. But then winning again on Saturday, I think it felt more satisfying and more gratifying for a lot of kids. It's just like, okay, like we improved since the last time, and this is the fruit of our labor, so to speak.
And then, so when it comes to feedback, because I know you love giving feedback, how do you strike the balance between correcting mistakes but still giving the students to have the confidence and keep learning?
Well, one of the ways that I was taught, which is what I still try to do, is you kind of do like a feedback sandwich, so to think. So you start out with a positive, you go into the negative, and then you finish with another positive. So you always start with a positive, like say, like even if maybe we're working on new drills, like, okay, I really like how you guys have learned this new set really quickly. And then you get into the negatives, like, but what I saw is that some of you guys are backwards marching and there's a lot of flat feet when you're supposed to be on your platforms. Here's how we're going to fix it. And we'll review it and then we'll review it here in a second.
Yeah.
And then you say another positive. So that way the students don't always feel like they're being nagged on, or it's always bad feedback. It's always negative. There needs to be a good balance of what are they doing well, but then what do we need to fix?
Right.
It just helps people feel like they've accomplished more when you set that boundary of just like there are good things, but there's also some things that need worked on. It's not that they're bad, it's just it needs improvement.
Okay. So then the last motivator is purpose. So that means that you're feeling what you do that matters. So how do you help your students connect their hard work they put into band with something bigger than just practicing or performing?
Well, one of the biggest things that I always emphasize is that this activity, especially with marching band, with how much time commitment and everything it is, or it can be, is that these are skills that you guys are going to need when you go out into the real world. Because one of the biggest things that you guys are managing in high school is time management. You have all these other classes, you got homework, you got tests and quizzes to study for, SATs, all these things, and then there's marching band on top of that at very consistent times throughout the week. But even then, it's a matter of how do you manage that time with everything else you need to do so that you can still be effective academically, musically, and in every other aspect that you guys have. So that's something that you'll be able to carry over when you go to college or when you get a job, is like how do you balance work and how do you balance life? It's how to be able to do that. And obviously with everything we do in marching band, it's a huge teamwork effort because every individual part is important. Every individual person has an important role to play, and if we're missing one person, it can throw off the vibe of everything else that's going on. And that's the same thing in the workplace. It's just like every person is important to what they do, and if they're missing, even if they're just sick or whatever, it does cause a little bit of disruption, and it flows a lot better when everyone's able to effectively communicate so that they can solve those problems when any of them arise.
And do you have a specific, or do you remember a story that shows how having a strong sense of purpose really pushed the band to go above and beyond? It's kind of going back a lot.
I think it's kind of a basic example, compared to some of the other ones I've given. But honestly, I think when I really stressed my first year here about playing the Star Spangled Banner at football games, that's an important part for a lot of people, either because they're current military, they're veterans, or they have family that have served in the military. It's an important aspect. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is that if you play the Star Spangled Banner poorly, they will never let you forget it, or they will constantly like talk to you, be like, man, I can't believe like the band like disrespected like the military that way. And so I really stressed when we came here is like, when we're in the stands, everything else can make mistakes, like that's fine, but we cannot mess up the Star Spangled Banner.
Right.
And here's why. And I explained it. So it's like you have a goal and a responsibility that every single time we play this piece to play it well. And the first time we went out there, my first home game at Cumberland Valley, you played it, and you played it extremely well, and you guys got so many compliments. And there were even people who used to be in the marching band that came back and said, man, this sounds a lot better than when we were there. Because I took it seriously, and I was making you guys take it seriously too. And not to say that my predecessor didn't, but I just had a huge emphasis on that, and I've carried that over into these last 2 years with not just the Star Spangled Banner, but with the alma mater as well. It's like that needs to be flawless every time as well, because the sports team appreciates it, and a lot of former athletes who've been asking for the alma mater for a very long time, they appreciate that it's being played as well. So giving that sense of purpose is like there's a goal to reach, and just reaching that level of quote unquote like perfection with these two pieces. I mean, I feel like that kind of forces kids to want to strive to play at their best and gain that mastery from just these two pieces.
Yeah. I messed up a few times on that song. Just let you know, I messed up like one note.
It's okay. It's all right.
But we get your point. Well, thank you so much for actually wanting to talk to me. This took so long. But thank you for actually wanting to talk to me. Hopefully you actually did inspire me to actually play my music better, and actually put in the hard work, even though I already do like every single day. But
debatable.
Okay, we're gonna end it now. But thank you so much, Farkas. Bye bye. You don't want to say bye? Okay.